How to stay consistent with your art. Consistency is an issue that hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people have tried to find the answer to. There's books, videos, podcasts made about it, and still somehow a big chunk of humanity struggles with it. So how in the world do some people manage to stay consistent? Well, the short answer, they find what works for them. But it's not like you're just going to wake up one day with an epiphany and figure out what works for you and stay consistent from then on. That's not how things work, unfortunately. So that brings me to the longer answer. It depends on where the desire to stay consistent comes from and what their goals are. I'll give you 6 of my tips to staying consistent as an artist specifically. And yes, even when life sucks and you feel like you have absolutely no creative juice in you. I want to preface that this video is mainly catered to people who want to take art seriously and they want to grow their skill, or they want to make it their full-time job like me, not to people who use it as a pastime activity, so just keep that in mind. If you do art for fun, you should just keep it fun. Don't stress about it. So if you want to take art seriously, before we get into the how, we have to get into the why. Why do you want to be so great at art? Is it mastering your anatomy skills for your satisfaction? Is it paying your bills? What is the reason you want to pursue this? Whatever it is, make sure you can clearly envision your goals, and only then you can start and trying to apply any tips you hear online, like the tips I'm about to give you. And the most important part, make sure you truly enjoy making art. Otherwise, none of my advice will have any good foundation to stand on top of. So now that we got that out of the way, here are my 6 tips. Tip number 1, make a specific plan for your art journey. Last year, I had absolutely no plan for bettering my art skills and growing my art career. So I just kept drawing aimlessly, streaming aimlessly, and hoping for the best. And that got me stuck in a lot of art blocks and cycles of procrastination that really hurt my artistic growth. What finally worked for me was sitting down and actually making a tangible roadmap for how I want my career to go. And afterwards, I made a specific schedule that would align with this roadmap. Having a tangible way of grasping your goals and dreams makes achieving those dreams and goals that much easier, trust me. Tip number 2 is to take things slow, and I mean slow. Make small steps at first and then build them up over time. Because if you put a lot of weight on your shoulders, it's probably gonna go something like this. You make a plan, for example, you get home from school and you say to yourself, oh, I'm gonna draw for 5 hours straight. I'm gonna sit at my desk and be there for 5 hours and draw. And then what ends up happening is that instead you go into your bed and you scroll TikTok for 5 hours straight. Why? Well, because you put such a big pressure on yourself to sit at your desk for 5 hours straight. And I'm pretty sure you got overwhelmed by it. I've been there. So instead what you can do is commit to 5 or 10 or 15 minutes at once. And that way, if you want to draw for longer, you can. If you don't feel like it, you don't have to, but you still met that goal for the day. Over time, you will make much more progress with those stacked up 5 or 10 minutes rather than getting overwhelmed and doing nothing at all. And then you can gradually increase the amount of time that you want to draw for, and it will not feel overwhelming because you're being slow with it. My 3rd tip is to manage distractions. What does a productivity session look like to you? Where do you work at? What are the best conditions for you to feel focused? What helps you focus? Let's say you work mainly at your desk, like me. If your desk is a complete mess, it will be so hard to be excited to spend time behind your desk. I figured out over time that for me, keeping my desk neat has to be a non-negotiable, no matter what. It has significantly improved my productivity, and I actually feel excited to sit down and draw these days. Sometimes, of course, life gets in the way, things get stressful, and I kind of neglect my desk. But what I make sure of is that the second that I have a bit of energy, I make sure to clean up my desk. I also try to decorate my desk with small things that make me happy and that make the space even more cozy. For example, I have a plush rat on my desk because I find him so cute. And I also have a floating whale on my lamp because it is just so cute and makes me feel so much more cozy in the space. My 4th tip, and you might take it a little personal, but Pinterest should not be your only place of inspiration. Sorry, but not sorry if you feel attacked by this tip. I have been there. When I first started drawing digitally, all I did was draw portraits I found on Pinterest and rarely anything else. And although it was fun at first, it kind of left me uninspired and I really craved more. So, as time went on, I started looking for inspiration elsewhere. Ideally, if I could, I would travel all around the world and take the coolest references, but that's unfortunately not the reality. So don't worry, I'm not going to tell you to fly to Hawaii to take references. What I do though is I make sure to go on my walks and I take pictures on my walks. If I see a cool building or the lighting looks really cool, I take a picture of that. Not only do I get fresh air, I get my steps in, but I also feel more grounded and inspired. And I've gotten so used to it that often my day does not feel complete without a walk. Another thing that I also am trying to do recently is watch more movies, because movies really inspire me. I love storytelling, and I definitely want to apply more storytelling to my art, and that's a great way to learn it. And of course, not to mention the fun that I have when I watch movies. Tip number 5 is you have to learn to respect yourself. I'll expand. If you want to hone your skill and achieve something, you just have to show up for yourself. Being tired is a valid reason not to draw, but sometimes you will have to push through the tiredness if you want to reach your goals. If you respect your own authority, you will have a much easier time achieving things and showing up for yourself consistently. Whether it is those 5, 10, 15 minutes that I mentioned earlier, or whether it's an hour every day, just make sure you show up for yourself. With that being said, my 6th tip actually is recognize that you're a human being and take breaks, please. And how do you know when you need a break? Well, you have to learn your limits with time. As I said, respecting yourself and therefore your goals is extremely important to keep showing up for yourself. However, try to learn your limits, and whenever you feel like you truly need a break, take it. Whether it is just a short break during your drawing sessions to maybe grab some coffee or, I don't know, get some air, or whether it's a long break every few months, please take the break if you need it. You're not a machine, and trust me, from personal experience, if you keep pushing yourself beyond your limits, you will just burn out and you will stumble upon the biggest art block ever, and it sucks. These are the main things that actually stopped me from going insane while trying to pursue a full-time career in art, so I hope it helps you a bit. But remember guys, again, not everything that works for me will work for you. I'm just speaking from personal experience. So referencing back to the question at the beginning of the video, how do you stay consistent? Find what works for you. Apply the tips that resonate with you the most, and I promise you that your art journey will become much more sustainable in the long run. And again, try to remember where you started creating in the first place. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.